All right, what's up, dude? Happy Friday, JMart. How we doing, man?
Dude, doing good, doing good. Great week for football. I'm super excited about it.
I was gonna say it's kind of been like a below average start. The first week was exciting. It was supposed to be exciting. Then the Texas Ohio State game kind of was bleh, and then it's been pretty average. If you're just an average college football fan watching, looking for some big games. This week, though, we're just loaded. We're actually loaded tonight. We got two games that I want to talk about.
Mhm.
And then we'll get to Georgia, Alabama, but we're recording around 4. Let's just get to the games tonight because you told me you liked the first one, Florida State, Virginia. Go for it. Florida
Yeah,
State
no,
is
I
ranked
mean,
in the country now?
yeah, there were eighth, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I love it. Games in Virginia, it's -7 is the line I'm looking at, or 7's the line. I have Florida State -7 to cover. I've watched this Florida State team a ton this year. This is the kind of team that their offense running wise is incredible. I might be the best running offense I've seen since I'm talking like Derrick Henry at Alabama. Like they have 3 playmakers that can all run for 100 yards a game each in the same game. And you're going to UVA. And again, Virginia's having a really, really solid year. I believe they're 3-1 right now. They've looked really, really strong. That's the reason the line's so close. That being said, Florida State's just incredible. They're going to control the game. They have one of those offensive structures that really won't let them drop games against teams that are worse than them. You saw it against Alabama. They just took control of the game, never really let go. I see the same thing happening here. It is on the road. That is a little bit of a variable, but again, Florida State running wise, incredible. I don't think UVA has the juice to really protect themselves from that.
Yeah, probably great environment for the game tonight because Virginia, they're 3-1. I was surprised the spread was only 6.5 here. So, all right, you like Florida State. The other games tonight. Oh God, we talked about Oregon State last week. I feel terrible for them. They're home against Houston. They're 0-4. Any hot takes on that game?
They look lost to sea. I thought going into the season with Malik Murphy at quarterback, who I thought was really, really solid last year at Duke, thought something might be able to shake. Nothing shaken. It's a train wreck. And yeah.
And then the other game, TCU, Arizona State. I saw TCU. I mean, we all saw TCU beat the crap out of Belichick in North Carolina. Arizona State's 3-1. They were coming off that wild year last year, right, where nobody expected it. Should have been, heck, they had Texas beat multiple times. Anyway, they bring the same quarterback back. What's it? Levitt is his name. Any thoughts on Arizona State? I know Florida State's one of your picks, but any thoughts on Arizona State TCU?
Yeah, so I was really monitoring. I was watching Arizona State Baylor last week. I was really interested in that game. It was late. I just wanted something to do. The very interesting thing about Arizona State offensively is they are a control team. They don't really have those big plays, those massive 30-yard plays, but they stay ahead of the sticks so well, so efficiently. They don't really let the opposing offense play a ton on the field. They really rely on them staying out there, tiring out the defense, winning through that. Sam Levitt, obviously great with his legs. Then they have they have one other running back, the backup from last year, forgetting his name. He's really solid. And then a lot of really good short route possession receivers. They control the pace of the game incredibly well. For everyone that watched TCU UNC, that you saw that basically TCU profited off of getting UNC's offense off the field immediately, just getting possessions back to them. So it's really, you're looking at a team that relies on their defense to kind of force the other team off the field, and an offense that wants to keep the defense on the field. I typically in those situations do favor a team like Arizona State offensively. I think they're probably going to stay on the field a ton. It's going to be pretty rough to watch. From what I experienced, it's a pretty stale, not super dynamic, downfield offense, but it's really, really efficient. I kind of sneaky like Arizona State to win this game. I know they dropped that game early. I know the secondary is a little weak. I just think they're going to be on that field so long. It's going to be really, really, really tough for TCU to really get any momentum going their way.
Okie dokie. All right, let's go through it because I was like, man, going through the list of these games this week, lot going on. And I wanted to ask you before we go through each game, when I think about the NFL, I'm like, don't change your opinion after the first few weeks of the season. Give it a month. Let's see how the teams play out. Because if you spend a lot of time in the summer, scouting the team and studying it, they don't have preseason really. A lot can happen in the first month. Don't overreact. But in college football, even though now they have the playoff, it's like one of those things where because they're not developed yet, you can really, really overreact. And the number one overreaction is probably the quarterback from Clemson, Klubnik. They get shell shocked by Syracuse. So as we go through these games, I'm going to be curious how much you put into stock what happened the week before versus what you thought before. So let's start with that in mind. Notre Dame's at Arkansas. I guess it's a must win because Notre Dame has to win out pretty much in order to make the playoffs. They already have 2 losses. They're at Arkansas. Talk to me about Arkansas because Notre Dame's a 3.5-point favorite. It's noon. I know one thing. It'll be a good crowd. I feel like it's a tough spot for Notre Dame. What do you think?
No, I agree entirely. This is Arkansas's head coach, former offensive line coach at UGA, Sam Pittman. He has big dudes out there. That's been his bread and butter his whole career. Is he goes out there, gets massive guys on the line, relies on that. They have the strength to hang with the Notre Dame defense that's really good at being physical. And I think that's going to cause a ton of issues for Notre Dame defensively. And then flipping it over to the other side of the ball, I've seen in recent weeks, Notre Dame has gone to the run game more. They have been willing to run more, which for some reason they weren't willing to do early in the season. They've looked a lot better once you unlock Jeremiah Love, once you let him get unleashed. They've looked a ton better, a lot more like last year. And they're doing that more now. And this is a game, again, must win. Playbook's fully open. You're calling any play you have to win the game. I think Notre Dame's a better team. I really do. And the fact it's in Arkansas is a little confusing for me. The 4.5-point line is the one thing that I'm kind of stuck on. Mm-hmm. I think this game, I don't think is going to have like a massive like spread in terms of like the point differential. I think they're going to keep it pretty close most of the time. It's, again, fairly defensively minded, in my opinion. I personally think Arkansas will cover this. I don't think they're going to win. I do think they can keep it within 5 points, though.
All right, the Illinois roller coaster. So it's okay, right? Things happen, but I tried to ask you what was going to happen if they went down 7-0. Maybe I jinxed it because it went from 7-0 to 63 to 10. Was that? Yeah, Indiana destroyed Illinois. We'll get to Indiana later, but Illinois, look, game got away from them. Now they get USC at home. USC played at 8:30 Eastern time, but let's just say 11:30 Eastern time because now they're in Illinois, right? So the time difference is pretty ridiculous. It goes from 11:30 late Eastern time to now a noon Eastern time start at Illinois. They're favored by 6.5. Now everybody loves USC. They love the quarterback. I need some help here. I haven't seen USC play, and I want to know what the hell happened to Illinois last week.
No, yeah. Again, USC offensively incredible. It's Lincoln Riley system. You're getting Lincoln Riley results. They look great. The thing that gives me hope for Illinois still is that Illinois last week lost that game with their offensive line. Luke Altmaier didn't stand a chance. He was just in hell the whole game. Indiana was in the backfield the entire game. He didn't have time to go through any type of progression. And then defensively, they just were kind of lackluster. Indiana was really, again, scored 63 points. Defense did pretty fucking bad job. So my biggest concern in this game for Illinois is they just cannot outscore USC, which is very likely. I don't think I'm looking at a blowout here again. I think Illinois is going to score points. I don't think the USC defensive line is good enough to really contain, shut down Altmaier. And
let me ask you, what is the Lincoln Riley offense exactly? Are they going to run the ball? It's
an air raid. It's so for people that don't know, Caleb Williams is a Lincoln Riley guy. Kyler Murray's Lincoln Riley guy. Baker Mayfield, Lincoln Riley as well. These are all guys that, again, they're mobile. They can run a good bit, and that's what you have here. Again, forgetting quarterback's name, they have a offense that the quarterback is mobile enough to be a threat, but the real threat for the offense is downfield passing. They're looking for big plays. The quarterback's got a cannon of an arm. They have a great lead receiver. They are really going to come in this game and just try and bomb it deep all game, use the run to mix the tempo up. It could work. That being said, Illinois has great corners. They've had great corners for a couple of years now. Devon Witherspoon coming out of that system. Kirby Joseph also coming out of Illinois. They have good corners. It's really, again, going to come down to if Illinois can just hang with USC offensively, in my opinion. 6.5 points exists because the point differential on this game is massive just because of how awesome USC is offensively. I'm a rock with my team. I think Illinois can handle business here at home. They need to. This is a game that they really need to have a big bounce back in. If you're betting with your mind a little more, I kind of can see USC winning this game by 2 to 3 touchdowns realistically. Because again, momentum on both sides are going in completely different directions, and trusting a college team to right the ship immediately against a ranked opponent, something you probably shouldn't do on every time.
There we go. Georgia Tech, are they any good? They're playing at noon at Wake Forest, but they're ranked 16th in the country. 13.5 point spread, it looks like. How good's Georgia Tech?
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of Georgia Tech. Again, super fun offense to watch. Very similar to Arizona State. Stay ahead of the sticks. They have some big hitter plays that Arizona State doesn't have, but it's really all relying on Haynes King with his reads. Is he going to run the ball? Is he going to pass the ball? Is he going to hand it off? It's almost triple option-y in the way that they function. And again, Jamal Haynes behind him at running back is one of the best running backs in the country. They're going to beat Wake Forest. I have no question in my mind. 2 touchdowns on the road would be really impressive from Tech. I don't.
Yeah, not my favorite thing to bet. Big favorite rival on the road. And you said Georgia Tech's more of a ball control team than an explosive team.
Again, the point differential, we're talking about the spread and the dynamic nature of an offense. Georgia Tech's really going to keep the game closer just because of how they play. They're going to limit possessions on both sides with super long methodical drives. Don't really love them beating a team by 2 touchdowns. It could push. I really don't see it covering though.
Same kind of sentiment with Vanderbilt. How good are they? They're 15th in the country, or 18th, 18th in the country. 4-0. They're going to host Utah State. What's the read on Vanderbilt?
Again, it's very similar to last year with them. Diego Pavia at quarterback. He is old, but he is also really, really good. Very dangerous with his legs as well. A really, really good arm too. He's a great quarterback. They really run the offense through him, and it really works well. I'm honest. I think they're going to obviously handle business against Utah State. This isn't a game I see them dropping. They should win by a fairly decent margin.
All right. I love Texas A&M. They were off last week, I believe. Last time I saw them, they beat Notre Dame. Marcel Reed won me over. Ball comes out. I love them. I really, really was impressed. I like the energy on Texas A&M. They're going to host Auburn. Auburn lost to Oklahoma. It's a 7.5 point spread. What's your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, so anyone that watched Auburn, Oklahoma last week, it was the biggest shit show of refereeing I've seen in my life. It was both sides. It was just bad refereeing. The calls were inconsistent. They were wrong half the time. They were not good. Auburn ends up losing the game, in my opinion, basically because of that. So they end up being the bigger losers of that fiasco. That being said, I saw a lot to really like about Auburn. I thought Jackson Arnold was pretty composed in the pocket, pretty dangerous with his legs too. And I thought Eric Singleton, the transfer from Georgia Tech to Auburn, looked really, really good as a receiver. He was all over the place. They're running jet sweeps. They're running screens. They're running go routes with him. He looked really, really good. Auburn defensively started super strong, and then Oklahoma was really able to break him down, open him up in the second half. Marcel Reed's going to be able to do that just the same. I wish we were hearing more Heisman hype for him, because I really do agree with you. I think he's been incredible this year. I think he's a really, really good quarterback. At home, off a bye week, opponent coming out of a really big bruising, morale-killing game. I think they could win this game by 2 touchdowns.
Ohio State, Washington. I'll get to them in a second. I'm leading up to a couple of these bigger games, but I love Iowa this week, so I need you to help me out here. Indiana, it feels like the perfect spot. It's an 8.5 point spread. Indiana's obviously they're the ones that just destroyed Illinois. They feel great. The spread, it's inflated for that reason. And I just really like this Iowa team. They scored points last week. Remember we were talking, I'm like, hey, why is the over-under this way? They end up returning the kick to start the game, so that obviously helped the over-under. And then Iowa I like Iowa. The only loss they had this year was a field goal loss at Iowa State. Iowa State's a really good football team. Now they're getting 8.5 points. I really like Iowa here. Can you talk me out of it, into it more? What's the thoughts here on Indiana at Iowa, 8.5?
Yeah, no, my main argument against this is the quarterback at Indiana. It's Mendoza. I want to say it's like Frankie Mendoza. I think he sat on the bench basically all year last year at Cal or something weird like that, and has now come out and that might be Aguilar, but he was at Cal, transfers in.
Right. I was gonna say he played at Cal last year. Now he's good. He's really good. But at Iowa, I like Iowa's defense. No.
No, and Iowa has a great defense, but I'm looking at a quarterback in Mendoza that has just every single challenge he's faced, he's exceeded expectations at. He's just performed well above anything anyone's expected from him. It's definitely the toughest test he's played at Indiana so far. I really trust him to pass the ball super well. 8.5-point spread against an Iowa team is a little scary because Iowa obviously these games aren't going to have really big point margins. I know Indiana just beat Illinois by like 50, but I think this game will stay close. I do think Indiana is going to win, in my opinion. I don't think Iowa's good enough defensively or offensively and has a good enough offensive line to really push back a really solid Indiana front seven. I just think that at the end of the day, Mendoza is the key X factor in this game. I think he's the guy that's going to lead him over the hump. I personally see this game being like 10 to 11 points.
Yeah, really. So, you know what? When I think about these games, I just go on the road. It's so much different. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I hear everything you said about Mendoza, but I don't know. We'll see how I feel tomorrow morning. But I like Iowa. What we got? Ohio State at Washington. Same kind of sentiment. Washington's good. Washington's not a bad team, but they're way under the radar since they got, since whatchamacallit, DeBoer left. They weren't great last year. Now they're in the Big Ten, blah, 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 blah. They're getting 9.5 points. They're home against Ohio State. How good's Ohio State? They played a couple cupcakes since Texas. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, no, Ohio State to me, like that Texas game was cool. They played great defense. Offensively, I thought they were, I don't want to use the word pathetic, but they weren't good offensively. It just didn't click. Jeremiah Smith had a couple drops. Everything just didn't look like it was really working. Only guy that I felt had a great game was Carnell Tate. He looked incredible out there on the other side, away from Jeremiah Smith at receiver. And then, yeah, they beat two teams that they should be beating, and they beat them the way they should be beating them. But going into this game, the key with Washington now as a team, they've entered the Big Ten. They've become a Big Ten team. They're a defensive team. They play incredible defense. They did it last year. They're going to probably do it again this year. This game, I don't think they're going to score a lot of points. Julian Sayin is a good quarterback. He hasn't shown me a ton yet, but he's fine. I don't think he's necessarily good enough to go on the road against a really good Washington defense and just dominate. I think this game will stay close just because people aren't going to score points. I really don't think, in all honesty, Washington's going to score really anything. Like if you watch the Ohio State defense, it's almost perfect. And so in this situation, I can see Washington covering. I personally do think Washington will cover, just again because I see this game being super defensive. I'm not super impressed with Ohio State's offense, and Washington has a really, really good defense, in my opinion.
The total's 52.5. Sounds like you would take the under there.
I probably would. I don't really see either team scoring more than 30. Obviously, it's possible, but I see this game being like a 24-21, 24-17 kind of game.
I would not take any road favorites that are over a touchdown ever in college football when it's like a tough environment to play. My philosophy when it comes to betting on these games is there's just too many games to bet on to take the risk. And it's just not a fun bet because the crowd's going to influence it. The referees are more than likely influenced by that. You get a couple breaks the wrong way. So Ohio State, Indiana, I don't like either of them at all. Tennessee at Mississippi State. I guess that's the same thing. Here we go again. Tennessee's favored by 7.5. Anything good to say about Mississippi State? Let's start with that.
Yeah, Mississippi State's been shockingly decent this year. Going into the season, I think we talked about it in the first recap video we did. I thought Mississippi State was bottom of the barrel. I thought they were the worst team in the SEC. I thought they were going to be trash. And now looking at them, I believe they're 3-1. They've had a really, really solid
season. Lost, actually. Yeah, they haven't lost.
They haven't lost. So, yeah, they've been incredible. Tennessee, obviously, I think is one of the best teams in the SEC. Even after that loss to Georgia, I thought they looked really, really sharp. They should win this game. That being said, I believe it's a new quarterback for them. It's going to be the guy, basically like the D2 GOAT at quarterback that they went and picked up in the transfer portal. He's, I think, coming in for Aguilar for this game, or that's where it's trending. So Tennessee's in a weird spot. They don't love their quarterback situation. I think they're fine, but there's stuff going on over there. It's a weird spot. I don't think Tennessee's responded well to that Georgia loss. I think they're kind of in a little bit of a rut. You obviously watched them blow the spread against UAB late last week. it's a weird situation. And I do think Mississippi State's probably got their head screwed on better than Tennessee does right now. And yeah, I can, again, road team favored by more than a touchdown in a tough matchup. I do tend to lean towards the home team in that spot.
I was gonna say it would be a nice environment for Mississippi State. They don't typically get big home games. It's been a minute. So, all right, Arizona, Iowa State. I'm saving the big three for the end. Arizona, Iowa State. Iowa State's only -4.5. Both teams are undefeated. Haven't really seen much of Arizona. I just know they were supposed to be really good last year, and they brought back Kifka. Is that his name, the quarterback?
Fafita.
Whatever. Anyway, how good's Arizona? How good's Iowa State? Which way are you leaning in this one?
Yeah. Again, I also haven't seen much of Arizona. I have seen they've handled business pretty well this year, which makes me optimistic for them. And Fafita, in my opinion, is still a really good quarterback. He just had a pretty bad year last year. That being said, I think Iowa State's really good. I've liked everything I've seen out of Iowa State so far this year. I think Rocco Becht is a really, really, really solid quarterback. He does kind of give me Brock Purdy in college vibes. Just really controls the game well, runs that Iowa State offense very similarly to the way Brock did. I can't really bet against Iowa State right now. Like Iowa State's been just doing such a good job every single game. They've had those primetime spots. They've crushed it in those games. They don't seem to drop off play when the lights get bright. I don't think Arizona's had that exposure yet. So this is going to be new for them coming into this year or coming into this game this season. I do lean Iowa State, but just because of that.
I'm leaning an Iowa parlay here. I love Iowa State. I liked Iowa right plus the 8.5. Iowa State responded really well because they got humiliated in the Big 12 championship. That was probably they had the worst loss you could say out of any team outside of maybe like Texas at the end of the year, right? Like because they didn't even get a chance to make the playoffs. It was like a dream situation for them. They're playing Arizona State in what's supposed to be a 50-50 game. They just get blown out. And then they come back with same quarterback, a lot of continuity, and they look really good. It's a good spot for them. Big spot, ESPN game. You know, these games are on so many freaking channels. You probably could just do a podcast. Maybe that's the next idea is just do a podcast on Friday for like programming for people. Saturday through Sunday, just like list through where to find each and every game. Yeah. You have to get Peacock in order to watch Indiana, Iowa. I'm not doing this. All right, here we go. Ole Miss, LSU. That's what we want to get to. We got three really big games. First of all, we went through a lot of games, and that in itself would have been, I guess, a decent week of college football. We got three highlight games. Ole Miss, LSU is going to be a 3:30 kickoff. Go for it. LSU is getting a 1.5. It feels like I've heard really make the ultimate 50-50 game. This is the most, I was going to say polarizing. There we go. Both coaches are on the extremes on you have opinions on them, and usually it's not a good opinion. Kiffin versus Kelly. Talk to me. LSU at Ole Miss. What do we got?
Yeah, so for starters this year, obviously LSU beats Clemson to start the year off. Everyone thinks they're incredible. All that stuff happens. And now we've seen Clemson just isn't very good this year, which does kind of change the lens of that LSU-Clemson game. And then the other one you look at is the next big win LSU had was Florida. But Florida also now doesn't look like they're super good this year after Miami pretty easily handled business against them. So you could make the argument that LSU doesn't have a really good win. That I don't think they have one on their schedule yet. I haven't really seen them play a super good team yet. And in those games against these mediocre teams, Nussmeier just hasn't done that much. Like I was really high on Garrett Nussmeier coming into the season, thought he was one of the best quarterback prospects in the draft. He hasn't shown me a ton. I know he's like second in Heisman voting right now because he is on a good team, but he hasn't been exceptional yet. He hasn't shown off that arm that we saw all of last year. Ole Miss, again, it's Lane Kiffin, so they haven't been playing much to start the season. They've been easing themselves into it. They've been obviously killing all the cupcake teams they play, but we haven't seen anything from them either. I think the game being at home is huge. I think that, for me, is the determinant, is that this game is in Oxford. It's a home game for Ole Miss. It feels like that's really what it comes down to here. Like the environment's going to be insane. For me personally, I like Ole Miss more because I think that we're overvaluing the team that LSU is off of wins that in the past would have meant something. But looking at it from this season, they just aren't that strong of wins.
So LSU's got a pretty much a brand new offensive line, and it does feel like he's not very comfortable back there. Nussmeier, I can't bet on this game because I can't stand Lane Kiffin, probably more than I can't stand Kelly. Just something about Kiffin is just too much. But I can't wait to watch that game. There's so many good games. All right, so you like Ole Miss? Dun, dun, dun. Let's do Oregon Penn State, because here's the thing about this game. The game's at Penn State, which automatically you're like, my rule of thumb, maybe I just should write this down somewhere. It's like, you don't have to bet on every game. There's a million games to bet on. Just say out loud, do I really need to bet against Penn State at home, especially when they're a good team? But
and they're doing a whiteout. They're doing a whiteout for the game, so the atmosphere is going to be nuts.
They can run the ball. They got all these different, all these different things, right? But from a gambling standpoint, 3.5 is like the evil number, right? Mm-hmm. So first of all, if you're going to take Penn State, you got to buy at the 3. And Dante Moore, the quarterback for Oregon, and I'll set it up this way and then you can finish it, is by all accounts the best quarterback through the first 4 weeks of the season. Just absolutely lighting it up. Oregon looks great. So I'm hearing more people from a gambling perspective want to take Oregon, and I feel like a square by saying I would just take Penn State. I won't bet on it because I don't know enough about Oregon to bet against them. But anyway, I feel like go ahead. What are your thoughts? Oregon, Penn State.
Yeah, so I am betting on this game, and I am also taking Oregon because I've been keeping up with Oregon all year. I've been super interested in them. I really like Dante Moore. I've liked him since high school. I think that he's just really good. I didn't think he had an opportunity given to him. He has one now, and you can check the stats, you can check the film. He's been so polished. He's been so precise. He's been so calm. And the other part that makes Oregon so dangerous is that they're not relying on their offense to win games. They have a phenomenal defense, too. This is, again, Dan Lanning out there, former defensive coordinator at Georgia, worked under Kirby Smart for years. He plays like Kirby. Think about a team that's got a Kirby Smart level defense, which might be hyperbole, but it's pretty close. And then they have a quarterback as dynamic as a guy like Dante Moore, who can basically do anything. They still have Evan Stewart. He's still there. So that's an elite receiver from last year. Jordan Whittington's looked like a decent, I think that's his name. Looks like a pretty solid running back too. Oregon, in my opinion, is the most underrated top team in college football right now. People aren't really giving them the credit they deserve for how good they've been. And while I do like Penn State, I feel like every year we're overhyping Drew Aller. We're overhyping Penn State as a whole. This is the biggest test they've had in a very long time. I think we're going to really see just how good Oregon is in this game.
Yeah, excuse me for a second here, because last time Oregon was in a big game against a team that was like, you know what, maybe we'll just punch them in the mouth. The game was over in a half a second. It felt like when Ohio State did it, right? You're telling me Penn State's not just going to run the ball right down their throat? And
not against this Oregon defense. I think this Oregon front seven is so strong that it's really going to fall on Drew Aller's shoulders. And like we saw in the Notre Dame game, I believe, for Penn State, if it's on Drew Aller's shoulders, it's not a situation you necessarily want to be in. It can get ugly if you put all the pressure on him. I'm not super confident in his passing ability at a high level. He's going to have to do it against Oregon with a lot of pressure on him. It's a really tough matchup for him.
Can Dante Moore move, or is he a sitting duck?
I mean, he's not a sitting duck. He's not like a super mobile guy, but he's got legs. He's that new kind of generation of quarterback where they are fully a passer, but they can get out there if they need to.
Okay, so if I was going to beat Penn State on the road, I'd like a running quarter. I'd like the Navy offense here, just like run the football. But you want to throw the ball in the whiteout on 3rd and 6 as Penn State sends 8 guys and the crowd goes crazy, and you know you're not getting a pass interference call. God bless you. I hope you're right, because I don't really like to root for Penn State. But all right, go Ducks for you. Do we have anything else before we get down? No, let's do BYU Colorado, because I don't know where we're at with Colorado. I haven't really talked about them much because they're not very relevant, and I don't know. It was kind of unnecessary to pile on Dion, tough offseason. But here we go. They got an interesting game, and they're the last game of the night of relevance. They're 2-2, and BYU's 3-0. BYU had an interesting, to say the least, situation with their quarterback, so they swapped him out. We don't need to go there. How good is BYU this year? Because they were surprisingly good last year. And they're 6.5-point favorites in Colorado, which I know more people are going to want to take Colorado there, right?
Yeah, no, this line almost feels like a textbook trap because Colorado's obviously, I think I talked about this earlier in the year, they're going to get, the money's going to be on Colorado, just like typically, like it's so that you're going to see lines juiced normally kind of showing that.
Right.
This 6.5 is in my opinion, ridiculous line for BYU against a Colorado team that I kind of lost track of it, but I'm not sure who their starting quarterback is. They have like 3 dudes, and I don't know which one's starting because they have Julian Lewis, who was one of the top QB recruits out of Georgia, was a big grab for Dion. Then they go and get Caden Salter from Liberty. He starts a couple games, and then they have a third string that's, I think, the current starting quarterback. He's been the guy they've been running out there recently. They don't really know what they're doing there. They've looked a little better in recent weeks from what I remember. They've been like a little more composed. This is BYU. This defense is going to be a BYU defense. It's going to be almost impossible to move the ball against them. And offensively, I don't know much about that offense. I know it's a BYU offense, so that means it's just good enough to win the game. Colorado, I don't think, is strong enough and composed enough against this BYU defense to really stay in it. It's going to be a hard game, especially with, I don't want to like harp on the culture in Colorado because I think it's great. I really do like what Dion's done for the program, but BYU comes out, punches them in the mouth, drops 14 on them in the first quarter, and they don't respond with points. It feels like the game's kind of out of reach already, and I can realistically see BYU doing that.
Got it. So you like BYU minus 6.5 against Colorado?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Alabama, Georgia. You finally get a big game, a home big game. I would say, well, you tell me. I don't need to set it up. You just go for it. Georgia, Alabama. Where's your thoughts? It's a 2.5-point spread, 54.5. Alabama 2-1, Georgia 3-0. Go for it.
Yeah, for starters, no part of that total. It could go either way. You just saw Georgia. Well, I think the total of the last game ended up being 80 plus, I think, against Tennessee. I think it was 44-41. So like crazy points scored there. But then at the same time, I think Georgia scored like 26 against Austin Peay. Something really, really pathetic. So like Georgia's been all over the place. Alabama's had Ty Simpson throwing the ball incredibly well against incredibly bad teams. No disrespect to Wisconsin, but I'm not going to give him a lot of credit for that win because it just doesn't mean anything. Basically, what you're looking at is a UGA team that in people's heads is somewhat proven at this point. They went on the road, beat Tennessee. Gunner looked great. I get it. You have Alabama, who the one good team they've played, they got stomped, but it was on the road in Florida State. Tough matchup, and they've bounced back really well. I'm going off proven facts. I've seen Georgia look better. I am not convinced in Gunner Stockton at all. Go check the stats. The dude threw for 300 yards in the game where 250 of those yards were after catch. He throws checkdowns. The Georgia offense is not dynamic vertically. They spread it out. They try and stay ahead of the sticks. It's not going to – if Georgia gets in a hole, they're not digging themselves out of it. But the Georgia defense, in my opinion, has looked really, really strong. Coming into Georgia, Bama beat us last year. It's probably the most hype you're going to see a Georgia team be probably since that last national championship game against Alabama. Like this is the atmosphere in Georgia is I'm in Athens right now. It's insane.
Why 2.5? Because everything you're saying sounds good, sounds great. I want to do it, but Alabama sucks on the road. All the things you're saying. Why do you think Georgia's only 2.5-point favorite?
Because of the Gunner Stockton variable is very, very scary for a lot of people. If you've watched the film, Georgia fans love him. I like him. He just hasn't shown me anything yet. Like it's cool that you have these weapons out here at receiver that you can throw screen passes to, and they can run the ball 50 yards down the field. I appreciate that. And it's cool that when you have a designed first play of the game, you can throw a deep ball to a wide open receiver. But I need to watch you go through progressions. I need to watch you throw to the second option. I haven't seen him do that much of it. I think Bama can, to an extent, kind of smother Georgia at the line, force Gunner to beat him deep, and feel pretty confident in that game plan. On the other side of the ball, Ty Simpson was supposed to be a dual threat. We've seen him throw him for 350 plus in back-to-back games, I believe. He's a running quarterback. Georgia, as usual, runs man coverage and does really bad against mobile quarterbacks. That's what makes the thing so close. Is Ty Simpson can run all over Georgia. We've seen this happen against Georgia in the past. Jackson Dart did it last year. These quarterbacks can get out of the pocket and run for 50 plus against a Georgia defense that is, for some reason, still designed to kind of almost fail against mobile quarterbacks.
Yeah, you've been saying that for a couple of years. They're not good against the mobile quarterback. So how do you think it's going to officially play out?
Simply put, it comes down to this game being in Georgia and Georgia losing on the road against Bama in such a upsetting way last year. This is a game Georgia just cannot lose. And for Alabama, I don't think it's a can't lose game. I mean, they have one loss on the season, true, but it was out of conference. It doesn't matter for making the SEC championship. They can still make the playoffs even without winning this game. For Georgia, it's not about the fact that they can drop the game and still make the championship. It's about they can't lose to Bama again. Georgia needs to win this game. Kirby needs to prove that he can, in fact, beat Bama more than just one time in a national championship game. For me, the atmosphere, the mindsets are different between these two teams. And I think it being at home at Sanford Stadium, I think that's, in my opinion, the determinant for who wins this game.
Got it. All right. Favorite games of the week, then. Let me make sure I got this right. Oregon, Georgia, Ole Miss, Florida State tonight, and BYU.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right. So, gosh almighty. I need to ask you a couple questions, and then I'll feel better. Then we can go. I don't want to keep you all night, but I think I lost my mind yesterday, and I think I've been losing my mind the past few days watching Roquan Smith highlights. So I've been, like, all right, he was the middle linebacker at Georgia. Maybe I should just take a deep breath and ask you what you think and say, am I overreacting? Why is he not showing any effort? Should he not be the leader of the Ravens? Can we trade him for a 5th-round pick somewhere? So just talk to me. What was Roquan like in Georgia? And go ahead.
Yeah, so I remember watching Roquan as a freshman. Every single snap he took with Georgia, I loved. The thing about Roquan Smith is he's put on some size now. He's not small, but he's definitely not a big middle linebacker. He's a smaller built guy compared to average NFL middle linebacker, and there's the same thing in college. The thing that was like always a constant with Roquan Smith is that if he goes for a tackle, the dude's not getting out of it. Like, he tackles with almost perfect form and so much power that if he lines up running backs, gets through the hole, gets to Roquan Smith, the play's ending at Roquan Smith, and he's not moving past him. Coverage was always a little bit of an issue for Roquan. He was not the best coverage middle linebacker ever, but he was competent enough in college and then competent enough with Chicago.
All right. Was he the starting middle linebacker as a freshman?
I don't think starting. I'm trying to remember who else was on those teams. I think it was one of those he broke through later in the year. He definitely didn't start the year, I think, as starting games, but he definitely was playing. I think that had been like 2016. So he was playing.
Yes, he's a great form tackler, except James Cook left him at midfield. And I don't know. I just don't understand where the lack of urgency comes from. Everything he says sounds great. I hate saying when guys get paid, they stop trying their hardest, but I was really unimpressed by him. But
no, I definitely think I've seen a lack of hustle out of him recently for sure. I don't know if it's just his body's breaking down. I don't feel like he's had injury issues like ever. I think he's been pretty healthy for an NFL player. Mm-hmm. So I don't think his body should be too beaten up. He isn't moving the same. I don't know what it is.
Don't you think it was a red flag? Because you're a Bears fan. They traded him instead of just paying him. Like, they were like,
that one was weird. It did seem like to a point his mind just got on, I need to make some money. And I don't blame the Ravens for paying him. Like, it was smart. With the guy that you got for so little in draft capital, like, you pay that guy. But yeah, the urgency is not there. I would say it's probably the sole reason that the Ravens defense has looked. I mean, it's looked bad. It's not been good. And I do think, like, having your main guy kind of not caring as much, like, there's only so much field Kyle Hamilton can cover, and the rest someone else needs to cover.
Yeah, and you know who wasn't doing a great job yesterday or Monday night was Malachi Starks. So that's the next thing I need to get off my chest with you. What the hell is that about? He looked did you watch the game Monday?
Yeah.
He just first of all, if you watched the game, they really highlighted that he is petrified of St. Brown because he gave him more room. He gave him as much room as I would give him. I'm like, dude, it's 3rd and 7. And he's out there just backpedaling. And then when Montgomery's running through the lane, he's like, I would rather not be a part of that action, and just weak. So on that really long run, it should have been a 12-yard run. And Malachi is not there. What's the deal on him? Because I loved him coming out. Am I overreacting, or is there a reason he fell a little bit in the draft to begin with?
Yeah, no, Malachi had a really bad junior year. It just wasn't great. He got beaten coverage a ton, and just I don't know. Like if you watch his freshman year, he was perfect. He was literally the perfect corner safety combo. Whatever he was playing, he was doing it all. Sophomore year got a little worse, and then by junior year, it wasn't. It was kind of bad almost at points. Like he was not a guy you wanted in single coverage. And that's, I think, why he fell, is that there was legitimate regression while he was in college. But the mindset is he's big, he's strong, he's Georgia, he'll figure it out. I personally think at this point, just knowing the kind of person he grew up like, again, 30 minutes away from me. I think it's a confidence thing. I think he's throughout, like, as he's gained hype, he's lost confidence in himself. And you can see that obviously backing off of Amon-Ra St. Brown aggressively. Like he doesn't trust himself. For some reason, he feels like his game is missing pieces that it shouldn't. You're seeing it with Marvin Harrison Jr. right now. If they lose confidence, they literally lose the ability to play good football. And I think with Malachi, it's literally a confidence thing, which is on one hand sucks, but on the other hand is very fixable.
What's the ideal way to use him, though? If you're saying he's not great in coverage to begin with, but how come he couldn't freaking tackle the guy? Like that's not a confidence
That's
thing.
the thing is he covers well. It's just it's like a mental block sometimes. He gets beat.
He doesn't want to get beat for the big play. Is that what it
doesn't
is?
trust his instincts. Like he'll see someone do like that little double back on like on a curl or a comeback, and he won't want to bite on it because he doesn't. Even though he should, his body knows that he should bite on it. This is not a fake. He in his own head is talking himself out of it. Yeah, I feel like it's been confidence since Georgia, and like, yeah, he's a guy. He's a great person. Just needs some more confidence.
Yeah, Ravens not super high on the Ravens. Vegas is still high on them. So let's go through a couple games in the NFL before we get out of here. Let's start with that one. Ravens -3 at the Chiefs. What's your take?
It just feels I think the Ravens have too many defensive holes right now for me to feel super good about them. Obviously, the Chiefs have looked horrendous as far as efficiency goes on offense. Like, yes, they're getting into the other team's side of the field. They're doing nothing with it half the time. They can't find the end zone. It's been a nightmare. Basically, unless Patrick Mahomes runs the ball in, they're not going to get into the end zone. And again, still missing Rashee Rice. I think Worthy's still out. Is he back?
I think he is going to play, actually.
He's going to play, but obviously like a shoulder injury is tough. Like it's tough. But like the Ravens have so many secondary holes. If you've been watching the Chiefs recently, Tyquan Thornton has been phenomenal. He was the guy that set the he tied the combine speed record, I think, for a little bit, and then Worthy broke all of it.
Yeah, he was a second-round pick that the Patriots just got rid of.
And they just gave up on him, and he's just, I mean, watch his releases off the line. It's not just like 40-yard speed. Like the dude just flies across the field, which as a Ravens fan, that should be scary. That's not something you want to hear when coverage has been rough, especially deep. But on the same hand, like I haven't loved the Chiefs defensively. I think they've been fine, but I don't think they've been doing anything super special. And Lamar Jackson has been really special. I think he's looked this. I hate saying it every year, but I do really feel like he gets better at the game every single year. It just depends if he's going to have time. Like he had no time against the Lions. They were in the backfield almost immediately. I think Spagnuolo is going to know that. He's going to blitz. It's going to rely on him passing his way out of this game. It's tough. It's a really tough game. I don't really like the Ravens being favorites, honestly, on the road. It feels kind of off, especially just,
Couple of these games here where the road team's favored. It's not like college football with the road environment. In a lot of different ways, you got to put more stock of college basketball and college football just because of the kids not being able to handle the composure. Chiefs environment's a tough one. Tough game. Eagles at Bucks. Bucks are getting 3.5. This Tampa team is unbelievable. The way their first 3 weeks of the season, it feels like it could be a special year for them the way they're playing, but they do lose Mike Evans in the process. However, they're the last team that beat the crap out of the Eagles, right? Like the last time the Eagles lost and lost pretty easily was to Tampa Bay last year in week 4. And then the Eagles just won every single game besides the game that Hurts got injured at Washington, which they nearly won that game as well. So what are your thoughts on that? Eagles at Tampa?
No, I really liked what I saw from the Eagles last week, in the second half specifically. Jalen Hurts can pass the football. Like he's good at it. I do not know what the offensive play calling was for 2.5 games, basically pretending like you have a bum. Like it felt like watching like when Ben Roethlisberger and Drew Brees both got like really old and they like did not have arms anymore. So the offensive play calling was literally just slants and crossers and running the football. Kind of felt like that for the first couple weeks for some reason. Now that the playbook's opened up a little bit, I feel a lot better about the Eagles. That being said, the Bucs I think are probably the best team in the NFL right now. Like just the way they've been playing, like they offensively, Emeka Egbuka was a slam dunk pick. Defensively, they've been so solid. I kind of sneaky like the Bucs, but at the same time, Philly's pretty great. And Philly has found a way every single week, even while looking awful. They found a way to win games. Jordan Davis is having a career year so far. It's going to be a tough one. I think it's going to be a great game. I think it's probably going to be relatively low scoring just because of the way the Eagles are. But I kind of lean Bucs. I do lean Bucs just the way they've been playing.
Alrighty. All right, take me through the day tomorrow. I'm sure you're going to the game, right?
No, I don't have tickets to this one. I have tickets to Texas. I don't have tickets to this one.
All right. Well, then what's the day look like? That's even crazier then, right? Then I guess you have no responsibilities. Where do you end up watching the game? When do you start drinking?
So these are all questions I'm having right now too. I think we're just gonna see where the day takes me, see where the night takes me. It'll be a good night. Definitely will be a fun one. Athens is already packed. The roads are already congested and clogged, and you can't get anywhere. And it's only Friday. People were setting up tailgates yesterday on a Thursday. Bama fans were already out last night, so it's going to be a fun weekend for sure.
That's awesome, bro. Well, have a lot of fun. Georgia -2.5. Go Dogs. Enjoy the game, and I will see you next week. Good luck to everybody. I'll put your bets out, and then I'll be here on Sunday morning. And cool. All right. Have a good weekend, guys. See you, JMart.
Yeah, see you.
Dun, 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 dun.